Shouldn't be too far away, I would think.
Away.
Whoop. That's the wrong one. Still loading onto the channel. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Game audio is working. And the party audio is working as well. Streams up, chats up, we're all good to go. That's absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 10 of the PlayStation America series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. Constructed in 1959 within the heart of the nation's capital in Mexico City, the circuit has been hosting Formula One Grand Prix since 1963 and was redesigned into its current form in 2015. The modern-day circuit measures up at 2.67 miles and consists of 17 corners and 3 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots at Turn 1, Turn 4 and Turn 12. The main features of the circuit include the 3/4 mile main straightaway, which provides great slipstream battles heading towards Turn 1, the high-speed S section formed by Turn 7 through 11, which typically proves to be the hardest part of the circuit, and finally the arena section in the third sector. It's a tight section where drivers need to be careful with throttle modulation, especially in these traction-limited F1 cars. Now, before we focus on qualifying, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Austin. There were three incident reports. The first involving Hash and KD 1997. A collision at turn 12 results in KD getting a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point. There was an incident between Hash, KD and Captain Schmeg. And the result from that is a 5-second time penalty, 1 penalty point for Captain Schmeg. And also an incident between Hash and Blacks, which resulted in no further action. Now, even with the time penalties applied, neither driver would move from their final finishing position. And as a result, the final results from last week's race remain unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, Mighty Wombat is leading the way on 195 points after his victory at Kota, with Nico in P2 on 182 points, just 13 points behind the championship leader. Axis is P3 on 153, followed by JBH on 150, then SC Collider rounds out the top 5 on 117. KD, Mighty Wombat's teammate, is 6th on 105 points, followed by Blockman on 99. Underwood in the Ferrari is next on 57. He and Saucy are currently equal 9th, both drivers on 57 points, with Hash rounding out the top 10 on 56. In the Constructors, McLaren are leading on 300 points, followed by Mercedes on 194. It's quite a big gap between the top two in the Constructors. It's looking very much McLaren's way in the Constructors right now. They need a couple of bad races to really swing momentum back into the other team's favour. Third in the Constructors are Aston Martin on 190 points, followed by AlphaTauri on 182 and Alpine on 153. Rebel Racing are next on 144, followed by Ferrari on 126 and Haas on 111. Williams are next on 109, followed by Alfa Romeo on 31 points. That's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on what should hopefully be an interesting qualifying session, being a relatively short lap at 2.6 miles. The lap time around here isn't particularly long. We can see the benchmarks already being set by a few of the drivers. 1 minute 16s, mid to high 16s, and 18 from Liquito. That isn't quite representative of what he can do. Black's making his way around the final 2 corners on the racetrack and back onto the main straightaway. He'll cross the line to set a 17.1, goes 4th quickest with that time. Off the racetrack is an Aston Martin. Perhaps Axis getting out of the way. No, it's Guitar Hero getting out of the way as Shizant has crashed out through the S section, coming out to turn 11, riding on board with Motion God. There is his car. He's lost control at turn 11 and slammed into the wall on the left-hand side of the circuit. So Shizant more than likely will start from the very back of the grid here in the Mexican Grand Prix. Black Baller crosses the line to go 7th quickest with a 17.4. Rebellion on a flying lap. Somebody's just finished a lap. I believe it was Nico who just set a 16.451. Just under half a tenth behind Axis in P2. Rebellion making his way around the hairpin of turn 6. And towards the S section. The infamous S section on this circuit. Turns 7, 8, into turn 9. The final tricky bit, turns 10 and 11. You have to carry a lot of speed through here. It's very easy to get it all wrong. It tends to be a warning haven as well. Throughout the race, we'll see drivers abuse the track limits as much as they can to try and carry as much speed through the sector. And as a result, if you go over the limit just by that little bit, you will get warnings. And time penalties do play a factor in this race. Rebellion crosses the line to go 10th quickest with a 17.8. Underwood hasn't validated this run, but it looks like he's going to have another go. He's got a lot of battery to use. He doesn't have a fuel icon as well, lighting up on the telemetry, so it looks like he's going to have a go at a flying lap. Right on board and give you a guided tour of this 2.6 mile circuit here in Mexico City. Down the massively long main straightaway, as I said, 3/4 mile long main straightaway, and into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. Third gear, back on the accelerator, through turn 2, into turn 3. Important that you get a nice run out of turn 3, so you can maximise the top speed, heading down this straightaway into turn 4. One of the better overtaking spots on the circuit, this left-hander. Now into the tight right-hander of turn 5. Then the small short shoot into turn 6, another tight hairpin. Third gear on the exit. It's a nice run, no oversteer, no wheel spin whatsoever. Into the S's, turn 7, 8, into turn 9. You can see how much of the circuit he has to cut. He's lost control of the car and put it into the wall. A damaged end player. I saw it fly off his Ferrari. We'll be careful. There is an Aston Martin coming. Yeah. Now, safely rejoined, and don't know what that Aston's up to. Who's that? That Guitar Hero? Must be. Yeah. Not really sure why he went off the track like that. Anyway. There's Underwood demonstrating the pitfalls of this circuit. You do have to be very, very careful. We're right on board with his teammate as he heads into the S section. Turn 7, turn 8, through turn 9, and up towards turns 10 and 11. You can see he's using considerably less racetrack compared to what his teammate was doing. Now, it's a lot safer to drive like that, but it's generally a lot slower as well. Out of turn 12 and into the stadium section. Turn 13, missing the apex entirely. Around turn 14 and 15, and then 2 corners remain. Turn 16, and the final right-hander of turn 17. Up towards the line, a Hash will go 11th fastest with a 17.9. One extra bit of news as well that I failed to mention is that recently F1 22 had an update. Version 1.15 was released, and within that update came one significant change, especially for online races, and that is the reintroduction of multiple tyre allocation choices. Now, what's available to the drivers before they enter the race are 3 sets of tyre allocation for qualifying. You can have the 4 sets of softs that you would normally have before the update, before the 1.15 update. But the 2 new allocations allow the drivers to have 3 sets of softs and 1 set of mediums for qualifying, or 2 sets of softs, a set of mediums, and a set of hards for qualifying, and you're able to use those sets in the race. It'll be interesting to see what the drivers decide to go with here in this session, because track position does tend to help quite a lot around this racetrack. DRS trains tend to form quite quickly here, so if you're stuck in the middle of the pack, it's very difficult to move your way up. So maybe having that extra set of soft tyres during qualifying will help you out to get as much track position as possible. As Axis improves by 4.5 tenths to the middle sector, he's challenging Blockman here for pole position. Blockman improves though to a 15.786. What can Axis do when he crosses the line? Coming around the final corner. Oh, he spins. That's what he's going to do. He spins. And, he's going to go into the pits. Put on another set of tyres. Very easy to do that. You have to rely on the rear tyres remaining gripped up through that final section. Because you have to try and build up speed coming out of turn 16. But you also have to be mindful to not get too eager on the accelerator, because the car can just step away from you and spin out, just like what happened to Axis. And if you're really unlucky, you can hit the barrier and retire yourself from the session as Mighty Wombat invalidates on that run through the S's. So that lap will no longer count. Saucy has jumped up to P2 in the Red Bull with a 1 minute 16.142. Still only one driver in the 1 minute 15s, and that's Blockman. We'll see what Nico can do. He's been leading our championship all the way through this season, has lost it only recently at Kota after Wombat's fine performance. So Nico will be looking to bounce back. He needs a solid qualifying session heading into today's race for the reasons I've already mentioned. Nico's up by 1.5 tenths to the first sector. A healthy improvement, considering in the first sector there's only 3 corners. So to find 1.5 tenths, he's done really well. Out of the hairpin at turn 6. And into the S as we go. Down to 5th gear. Back on the accelerator as he heads around turn 8. Through turn 9. Now up towards turns 10 and 11. 6th gear. Modulating the throttle flat out through turn 11. A really nice run through the S's there. As he's up by a whopping 6 tenths of a second. He's found time. Oh, he's lost a bit there though. Lost control of the car at the exit of turn 12. And not the greatest run through the stadium section, but can he find any more time as he heads around the final corner up towards the line? It's a 15.78. He's just set the exact same time as Blockman, the exact same time to the 1,000th. Haha, 1 minute 15.786. How about that? What an astonishing coincidence that is. And correctly, because Blockman set the time before Nico, he gets preference. So I think that was fixed in a previous update where if a driver sets the exact same time as another, the person who did it later gets preference, and that's incorrect to the real life rules. In the real life rules, whoever sets it first gets preference. Underwood, he's on an in lap. He's currently P3. Blacks, he's on a preparation lap. It looks like he's used some battery. And he doesn't have the out lap indicator, so... Yellows are out. Was that a Williams going slowly? I think it was. Captain Schmeg perhaps going slowly. He's heading down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Peak speeds we'll see here. Over 205 miles an hour as they head into turn 1. 4th gear down to 3rd. Then back up to 4th briefly. He probably didn't need to go up to 4th briefly there. Could have kept it in 3rd. But he did make that short shift at turn 3 to 4th gear. That's probably more sensible to make that sort of move. To try and get traction out of turn 3. This bot again. Hang on. Just have to do some cleaning up. Saucy, sometimes zero practice can work out. Because then you're just relying on the natural skills that you've got. And when I've been competing in league racing, sometimes if I over practice, I perform worse than me just winging it. Sometimes you can put too much thought into it and it just sort of slows you down. Sometimes just going in there head first can be a better option. Sometimes. Not all the time, though. Guitar Hero, I believe, has just finished the flying lap. 17.3, goes 11th quickest. Blacks to the first sector is up by a whopping 4/10 of a second. He's not up anymore. A spin at turn 11 ruins that flying lap. Dear, oh dear. Very easy to do at turn 11. Seen it so many times. Not just in this game, but in previous games as well. Turn 11 has been a major hotspot for accidents in previous races here at Mexico. JBH on a flying lap, making his way down towards turn 1. kind of peak speed will we see here? 210 miles an hour. That is fast into turn 1. Through turn 2 and around turn 3. You'll open DRS and head down towards turn 4. 8th gear, entry speed over 195 miles an hour as he's up by just over 1/10 to the first sector. Axis is getting ready on an outlap. I better keep an eye on that. So is Rebellion. Collider's on a lap as I speak. Oh no, he's on it. They haven't fixed that outlap indicator glitch yet. It's quite annoying, to be quite honest, that they haven't fixed that yet. It's very distracting. Because you reckon that a driver's on a flying lap, so you flick to them, when in actuality they're just on a outlap getting ready to set a flying lap. As JBH has made a mistake through the middle sector. He's drawing alongside the Aston there. It's not Axis, it's Guitar Hero. Maybe distracted by the Aston, maybe that's why he pulled up alongside him. Not sure, I wasn't quite paying attention there. Either way, JBH will have another go here as he heads around the final couple of corners and set off on another flying lap. Now he does have to be a bit mindful of the fact that his tyres are scrubbed, and as a result they don't quite have the pace of what they once had on the previous attempt. He does need to be mindful of it. Axis around the final corner and onto the main straightaway. He'll begin what will more than likely be his final flying lap attempt. Sector 1 yellow flags as Collider's retired, crashing out in the S's. As Saucy lets a Alfa Romeo through. You can see the Alpine dot stationary at the exit of turn 9. There is his car. He's lost control, exiting the left-hander. Couldn't gather it up and slammed into the left-hand sidewall. So qualifying done for Collider. Axis up by just under 1/10 to the first sector as he makes his way out to turn 5 and around the hairpin of turn 6. Short shifting up to 3rd gear on the exit, trying to find traction. There's a Williams pulling off to the side, letting him through. Through the S as we go. Turn 7, turn 8, up towards turn 9. A Harter spun and an invalidated lap there for Axis. Now fortunately he does have enough time to try and regather himself and have another go. But that Haas spinning out, it wasn't Blockman, it must have been Laquito spinning out through the S's. Caused Axis to be a bit distracted as he made his way through and invalidated his run. So he won't be too happy about that. But it happens, unfortunately. It does happen. So, the battle for pole. At the moment, oh, Blockman. Oh, that is such a silly mistake. But we've all done it at turn 3, running that little bit too wide. All that runoff area on the outside of turn 3, it just tempts you to run wide to try and open up the corner. But you have to try and keep it narrow, because if you just run that little bit too wide, the game gives you a penalty. Alright, so it's qualifying over for Blockman. It's now down to everyone else to try and chase pole position. And the time they have to beat, 1 minute 15.786. Nico has set the exact same time and he sits P2. So all he has to do is improve on his current PB and he will take pole away from Blockman. First sector says he's up by 57 thousandths of a second. Underwood is making his way into the S's. He's currently P3 with a 16.1. He's invalidated his run. His qualifying session is over as Saucy with a damaged front wing moves himself into pit lane. So he's caught himself into an incident. Axis making his way into the stadium section around the hairpin at turn 13. Can he improve? He's low on battery, low on fuel. Can he do it? Making his way around the final 2 corners. Up towards the line. He'll set a 16.2. Improves by a 10th, but stays P5. Nico, meanwhile, can he take pole away from Blockman? His lap is not invalid. He comes around the final corner, squirreling as he crosses the line. It's not enough. He will not take pole from Blockman. He cannot improve. That little wiggle, I reckon, cost him a fair chunk of time. Wombat crosses the line and he jumps to P3 with a 15.939. Well, I think this is the first time in the history as a commentator I have seen pole position shared between 2 drivers. The exact same lap time at the end of qualifying. How about that? I don't think I have ever seen that at the end of a qualifying session where both cars starting on the front row have set the exact same lap time. How about that? And with Blockman setting it first, he gets preference. He will line up on pole position with Nico alongside. Mighty Wombat will start third with Underwood in fourth, Saucy fifth, Axis sixth, followed by Captain Schmeg, JBH Rebellion, and Blacks rounds out the top 10. Collider is 11th, followed by Black Baller, then Guitar Hero, Refixer, Hash, Liquito, Motion God, Flavius, and Shizant will start from the back thanks to his accident during qualifying. Oh, and Flavius has informed me there's an increasing chance of rain towards the end of the race, but the percentages look quite low, so I think it will stay dry throughout this event. But how about that? A career first for myself, a shared pole position time. How about that? But I reckon that little wiggle at the exit of the final corner costs Nico the chance to line up on pole. That little squirrely moment he had around turn 17 just cost him a few hundredths, I reckon, maybe a tenth, and that was enough. All he had to do was beat his own PB. Didn't have to beat it by much. He could beat it by 1,000th. He would have taken pole. But it wasn't enough. It was not enough. So, drivers are getting prepared right now for the beginning of this race, deciding what kind of strategies to go with. Now, with the aforementioned tyre allocation change, where you now have options rather than just the one option that everybody goes with, something that can work here at Mexico is a two-stop strategy. It's definitely been a popular strategy in the past, thanks to the soft tyre being ridiculously quick. Drivers could do a soft, medium, soft, or a medium, soft, soft, or something along those lines, and it would be incredibly competitive. Here in F122, if you wanted to pull off a two-stop, something along the lines of a medium, medium, soft, or a medium, soft, medium would probably work. Because what I've heard from a lot of the drivers is that the medium tyre is definitely the best race tyre here at Mexico. Although, saying that, the hard tyre isn't much worse. And as it proved in Pacific Tier 1, the one-stop is still the preferred strategy over the two-stop, even with these tyre allocation changes. But it might be a bit different here in the America series. So, who knows? Let's find out who's starting on what tyre for the start of this Grand Prix. Wow, okay. That's convincingly different compared to Pacific Tier 1. That is a lot different compared to Pacific Tier 1. Our pole setter, Blockman, will be starting on the soft compound tyre. The soft tyre. He's starting on it with Nico alongside, starting on the mediums. Mighty Wombat, our championship leader, is starting on the mediums as well in P3, with Underwood, the first driver, starting on the hard tyre. Saucy in P5 is starting on the medium compound tyre, with Axis alongside him also on the mediums. Captain Schmeg, P7, is starting on the hard tyre, with JBH alongside him on the medium compound tyre. On the fifth row, Rebellion will be starting on the hard tyre, Blacks alongside him on the mediums. Collider following his teammate, he's on the hard compound tyre as well. Black Baller on the medium, same with Guitar Hero, Refixer, Hatch, Liquito, and Motion God in P17. Flavius starting P18 is taking a gamble, starting on the soft tyre, with Shizan starting from the very back on the medium compound tyre. Fascinating. We have got 2 drivers on softs. We've got 4 drivers on hards, which means we've got 13 drivers on the medium compound tyre. Interesting. Interesting. Probably get rid of the tyre graphic for now and get ready for the start of this race. Blockman lining up on pole position. He will be starting on the outside heading down towards turn 1, but it's an incredibly long run to turn 1. It's 900 meters from pole position to turn 1. It's the longest run from the grid to turn 1 on the calendar, which means Mighty Wombat, sitting behind in P3, will have a slipstream heading down towards turn 1. He might be able to pick his way through and take the lead out of the opening chicane complex. All the drivers are now lined up, ready to race. We got 36 laps in front of us and 5 red lights. We're underway here in Mexico City. It's a nice start from Blockman as expected on the soft tyre, but Nico's got a blinder. He's taken the lead away from Blockman as the field head down towards turn 1. Axis has taken P2. Blockman down to 3rd. Down the inside looks JBH as we barrel into the opening right-hander. Through turn 2, now into turn 3. It's Nico who leads. Blockman trying to fight Mighty Wombat as we have yellow flags out. It's Shizant spinning at the exit of turn 1. Into turn 4 we go. Blockman looking to the inside here into the left-hander. Sends it in deep. They're side by side, but Wombat has the inside line at turn 5. But Blockman fights back, looking round the outside at the hairpin at turn 6. Wombat gets in front, but not quite by enough. Now he's fully in front. JBH gets by as well, at least tries to. Contact between the two cars. JBH runs wide, rejoins safely and takes 4th place. Through the S's we go. Everybody getting through relatively unscathed. And it seems everyone's fine. We do have a few position changes here and there, but no one's really caught any drama. Rafixa, though, trying to cause drama. A big send down the inside of Collider there at turn 12. Through the stadium section we go. Collider manages to hang on to P12 as Nico, with that blinding start, leading the way with Axis in 2nd, Mighty Wombat in 3rd, JBH 4th, and pole sitter Blockman on the soft tyre is down in 5th. This is not what he wanted from the very start of the race, as JBH already has a 3-second time penalty. But I reckon a few of those warnings he got were thanks to that contact he and Blockman had at turn 5, so he might be able to get some of those removed. Blacks, Saucy, battling for position as they head around turn 5, up towards 6, running wide goes the Red Bull. Into the hairpin we go. Blacks manages to hang on to P6. Yeah, these fellas really giving it some. Thanks to the interval glitch, it's a bit difficult to reference who's where, but you can see Underwood is right behind Saucy, heading through this section. Lockman closes in, but not by enough to attack JBH. Underwood, yeah, not quite close enough to attack here into turn 12. He has to stay behind for now. So head into the stadium section. Around, oh, he almost goes into the back of the Red Bull, but manages to turn away to avoid hitting the back of him. Oh, Wombat has spun. He has spun at 16. Oh dear, he has tumbled down to 9th place. A simple mistake that we've seen on several occasions during qualifying. And now Captain Schmeg is drag racing him down the main straightaway towards turn 1. And it seems that the Williams has got the straight line speed. Blockman, JBH battling for position as they head out of turn 3. Blockman has the advantage. He's 4/10 in front as well, so it's difficult for Blockman to lose that P3 unless he makes a mistake. Through this tight complex, or clobbering over the inside curve there. Around turn 6. And down towards the infamous S's in the middle sector. Black's holding his own in P5. Saucy P6, Underwood 7th. Rebellion in 8th. Captain Schmeg in 9th. With a probably frustrated Mighty Wombat in 10th. So Wombat, he'll be eager to get a move on to try and find his way through the field. Heading up towards turn 12. And can't find a way by. Captain Schmeg, though, running too wide on the entry there to turn 12. And got himself a 3-second time penalty. Out of the stadium section and around the final 2 corners on the racetrack and back onto the main straightaway. Mighty Wombat will have DRS, but so will Captain Schmeg. But he is low on battery. You can tell from the flashing red light at the back of his car. Mighty Wombat's going to capitalise on the situation. Draws alongside the Williams. Down the inside, he looks into turn 1. Captain Schmeg tries to keep the nose alongside. Heading into turn 2, but eventually gives in. Bit of a moment as well from the Williams driver. A bit of a moment as well from Black Baller in P11. Running incredibly wide at the exit of turn 3. Into turn 4 we go. Captain Schmeg, he's not in a position to attack here. Mighty Wombat needs to be in a position to get a move on. He needs to charge his way through this field and get back up towards the front for the sake of his championship chances. Blockman, a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. He's now got one next to his name. I believe he has one. Yes, it is just one. 3-second time penalty. See JBH under a bit of pressure from Blacks behind, but the top two have well and truly disappeared from the rest of the pack. Nico still leading the way, but Axis closing in thanks to DRS. Not using any battery either. This is just the raw power of DRS and a big lift. He doesn't want to pass Nico. He wants to stay behind the AlphaTauri here. He's playing a strategic game as Laquito gets a penalty. Blacks tries to look down the inside. Wombat overtakes Rebellion on the racing line. Heading into turn 1. He moves himself into P8. Blacks with DRS open, dumping his battery. JBH covering the inside. Blacks looking on the outside. He dives it in deep. Oh, but JBH covers contact between the two cars as they head around turn 5. Up towards the hairpin of turn 6. JBH, he's able to hang on to his position for now. Got a nice run out to turn 6 as well. Keeps Blacks at bay. Front of the field though, Nico leading the way. Captain Schmeg, a 3-second time penalty next to his name now. He's trying to close in on Rebellion in 9th as they head through turn 12, through turn 13. Out of the stadium section goes the leaders. Oh, Rafixer, what's happened here? He has crashed into the wall. That is at turn 11. He went in pretty deep there. He well and truly lost control. He's now down in 18th position. Axis closing in. But as we saw earlier, even if he's in a position to attack, he doesn't really want to. All he wants to do is stay behind Nico. Through the opening chicane complex goes this battle for P4. Led by JBH, Blacks behind, followed by Saucy and Underwood. So we have a 4-car fight battling for this position. Blacks again looking around the outside. Again contact at the apex. Almost a complete carbon copy of what happened on the previous lap. No visible damage on the McLaren, but Blacks wouldn't want to keep doing that. If he wants to look around the outside, he well and truly has to send it around the outside. Through the S as we go. Oh, running wide goes JBH, costing him precious tenths. Blacks looking around the outside, this time at turn 12. Again contact. Through the stadium we go. Saucy's involved. Around the hairpin at turn 13. Blacks gets the nose in front and moves in front. Into P4 and Saucy round the outside. Moves himself into P5. JBH down to 6th. But Blacks will be vulnerable. No DRS down this main straightaway for him. JBH will get it. Saucy will get it. And Blacks defends hard. Moving about. Almost contact down the main straightaway. As Saucy moves into 4th. JBH will take back 5th. And tries to look down the inside at turn 1. Sends it in deep. Saucy gives him room. Around turn 2 we go. So Saucy now into P4. JBH into 5th. Blacks back down to 6th. And Blacks is going to be not at all vulnerable to Underwood. Underwood is not close enough to battle. Around turn 4. Into turn 5. There's Blockman we saw briefly in the Haas. Making his way by. He's a long way behind the top 2, but he's building a margin to the rest of the field behind. Into the S's. Turn 7, the left-hander. Around turn 8. Turn 9. JBH losing time to Saucy here. Losing a few tenths. Has he got damage? His car looks like it was understeering quite a bit through that section. We did notice down that main straightaway, he had a lot of top speed heading into turn 1. So maybe he's just running very low wings. Maybe, just maybe. Hash a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As we head down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Closing in bit by bit is JBH in the Mercedes-Benz. Oh, can't quite go for the remove at turn 1. He has to stay behind. Black Baller overtaking Captain Schmeg. That is for P10 down the inside of turn 1. And there's not much the Williams driver can do about that. It hurts as well when a driver makes a move at turn 1. That driver who overtook also gets DRS down the next straightaway. It's a bit overpowered in this game. It's been overpowered in previous games as well. But the reason why there is no DRS detection zone in between turn 1 and turn 3 is because of a real-life phenomenon here at the circuit. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez is the tallest Grand Prix in the world, sitting about 2.2 kilometers above sea level as Rebellion gets a 3-second time penalty. Being so tall, it means the air around the circuit is very, very thin, which means there's not a lot of drag being developed by the cars. As a result, the drag reduction system doesn't have a great effect around here. So there's no need to have a detection zone in between turns 1 and 3. Just have back-to-back zones instead. Into the pits goes Blockman on lap 9 of 36, and he'll be pitting onto a set of medium compound tyres. I have a feeling Blockman is committing to a 2-stop strategy. It'll be fascinating how it works out for him towards the end of this race. Collider drawing alongside Captain Schmeg, moving by Captain Schmeg down the inside at turn 1. He puts himself into P10. Captain Schmeg back down to 11th. Black's close, but not close enough to attack the Mercedes-Benz of JBH, who is losing touch to Saucy in the Red Bull. So even though JBH has got some serious straight line speed, the lack of speed he's carrying through this middle sector and probably through the final sector means that he's not making any massive gains at all on Saucy. Saucy's just able to pull away through this middle sector, and even with all the straight line speed in the world, JBH cannot close in. Sort of shows the importance of a balanced setup. You need a car that's fairly well balanced here because of all the unique characteristics of the circuit. As I mentioned in the intro, you have the long straights in the first sector, a high-speed S section in the middle, and you've got this tight, twisty section in the final part of the lap. So you need a car that is very balanced so you can find optimal performance in a lap around here. Black's not close enough to attack, but JBH closes back to within half a second of Saucy. Axis now with the race lead. He has overtaken Nico. But Nico, he'll probably play the same game Axis did when he was behind. Just stick him behind, save up some battery. You can see 60-odd% for Axis compared to 50%, just under 50% as Collider gets by Black Baller for 9th. Through the S's. Oh, a moment from Nico, losing control of the car at turn 9. It's cost him dearly. The gap increases now to 2 seconds. I don't think he hit the wall, but he most certainly lost control as Captain Schmeg has left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin as soon as possible. Blacks as well with the 3-second time penalty. But that's a huge moment. It's a moment that Nico did not want at all. See Mighty Wombat getting by Underwood down the inside there at turn 3. So Wombat still making his way up through the field, recovering after his earlier moment in the race at turn 16. Down the main straightaway we go. These guys will have DRS. Look at the battery Underwood has. My goodness, that's a lot of battery. That's towards turn 1. You can see the Ferrari is actually closing in. Not by enough though. Blockman, new fastest lap, 18.925. It's the time he set. He's down in P16 at the moment, but remember, he's doing a 2-stop strategy. Around the outside goes Black Baller at turn 1. He moves himself into P10. Guitar Hero, he moves by the AI of Captain Schmeg into P12. Black Baller with DRS, he should be able to keep Hash at bay. Hash is right behind him. Wasn't close enough to try and take back the position at turn 4. Nico, he has a fair bit of work to do, and he's using a fair bit of battery to do it. The gap has closed up to 1.5 seconds. Nico, he needs to get within that critical 1 second range. Axos, meanwhile, he still has a bit of battery in hand. 46% for the Aston Martin driver. So he's able to play with a bit more battery compared to Nico. As Flavius has retired in the pit lane. He's had enough for today's race. Guitar Hero with a 3-second time penalty next to his name. He's currently sitting in P12 behind Hash. Blockman gets a 3-second time penalty as well. And he's on the back of the train now. See Motion God directly in front of him as Captain Schmeg has rejoined the session. So Blockman, he needs to drive like a bat out of hell to try and make his way through this field. JBH Black side by side through turn 2. Black's with the inside line, was able to keep P4. Yellow flags are out, that's thanks to Flavius's car moving itself back onto the racetrack. As we head down this straightaway towards turn 4, no one quite in a position to try and attack. Blockman has moved by Motion God. He's into P15. His next target is Shizen as Flavius has left the session. Down towards turn 4. He'll get hard on the brakes here. Bring it all the way down to second gear. You can see him carrying the throttle actually, just a little bit. He's carrying about 10% throttle as he slammed on the brakes. Around turn 6. Getting a nice run on the exit towards turn 7. And you can't pass through this section unless the driver in front of you makes a mistake. See Blockman closing in yard by yard, foot by foot, and he's hit the back of the Red Bull, I think. Either that or he got incredibly close to it. Hoo-wee. You could see the speed difference between Shizant and Blockman right there. It was quite considerable. Deep on the brakes is Motion God in the Alfa Romeo as well. Closed in by quite a lot. See, stuck in this train, it's going to be difficult to move forward. As Collider overtakes his teammate, Rebellion left the door wide open, and he's got a pretty big gap to the car behind, so he doesn't have to worry too much. Guitar Hero closing in, looking down the inside of turn 1. Oh, but you can see Hash out braking the Aston. Oh, the two make contact. Guitar Hero spins. I guess Hash closed in on the apex too soon, didn't leave any room for Guitar Hero. The two made contact and it spun the Canadian around. Through turn 4, around turn 5. See Captain Schmeg on the back of Black Baller. He's now back in control of his car. He'll be looking to try and move forward in this race. Here comes Mighty Wombat round the outside at turn 12. Can't get it done quite just yet. Into turn 13. Hello Underwood, you're right behind, watching this battle unfold. Bring up the tyre graphic as well, because I reckon we're getting pretty close to the pit window. Black Baller, what has happened to you? He's had a moment at turn 12, and he's tumbled down to 15th position. Oh dear, oh dear. Underwood close, but not close enough to battle. And I don't think he really wants to battle right now. He's in a really strong position, strategy-wise. He's on 13 lap-old hards compared to those in front with 13 lap-old mediums. He'll be moving on to the medium tyre in the second stint of this race as Blockman gets by Shizen. That is at turn 1. So he moves himself into P11. His next target will be Hash in the Ferrari. Out to turn 6 goes Underwood. Still hovering behind Mighty Wombat, not making any massive inroads, but he's keeping himself in this train. And as I said, it puts him in a quite strong strategic position towards the end of the race. And right now, he should be seeing the benefits of being on the hard tyre. Those medium tyres have definitely seen better days. It should be just that little bit quicker, I reckon. Just a little bit quicker. Nico pitting in. He's going for the undercut, which proved to be incredibly strong in the Elite Series on Sunday. But the undercut worked from going from the hard tyre onto a set of mediums. How will the undercut work going from mediums to a set of stone cold hard tyres? These tyres will have absolutely no grip. So as soon as Nico leaves the pits, he needs to start wiggling that thing to try and get those tyres up to temperature. And that's exactly what he's doing. As Wombat and Underwood battle for position. Contact! Not too much room was given there by Underwood. Mighty Wombat was forced wide. Side by side, heading towards turn 4. Wombat with the inside line. Underwood with the outside line. He was able to hang on to P5. Yellows are out. It's an Alfa Romeo. It's Motion God having a moment. Oh, flick spins back in the right direction and gets going again. Couple of drivers leaving the pits as well. Shizant on the back of Hash. Shizant looking down the inside of Hash here into turn 1. Blacks has had a moment. He has tumbled down through the order. A spin at turn 9, the cause of his tumble down through the order. He moves down to P6. And there's Nico, the man who was in second. Axis coming in to move on to a set of hards. Away he leaves. Now where does he come out relative to Nico? Does Nico close in? That is the question. Does he get in front? I don't think he will get in front. There is Axis. He's getting up to speed. I think the undercut has worked just a little bit. Blacks gets by Axis. It has worked a bit, actually. Oh, he almost goes into the back of the McLaren. Nico closes in some more. Through turn 2, into turn 3. This is the opportunity Nico needed. They're side by side. And Nico gets in front. He takes back the provisional race lead as they go into turn 4. A small mistake from Axis, almost hitting the back of Blacks, resulted in him running wide at turn 1. And it gave Nico the opportunity to get by. The undercut has worked. Wombat, meanwhile, behind Underwood. Not a great run from Underwood, and that shows a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Around turn 12 we go, into the stadium section. Wombat can't get close enough to attack here. Nico's close enough to attack Blacks, so through turn 12 into 13. Blacks dives it down the inside. Nico and Blacks give each other room. Really good racing, all in all. And Axis a big old send there at turn 16. It's very tight on the exit, but both cars get through. Down the main straightaway we go. Blacks will have DRS, so will Axis. It's a drag race between the Aston Martin and the McLaren, and the Aston's winning. It's closing in on the AlphaTauri. Will Axis go for a move here? No, not quite, not close enough. But can he set up one potentially at turn 4, through turn 2, over turn 3? Oh, Nico got a nice run. It was very tidy. Axis though with DRS closing in 10th by 10th as they head into turn 4. Not close enough. Nico hangs on for now. Blackso running long on these medium compound tyres. He's going to do just under half the race on these, and he is low on fuel as well. You can tell on the telemetry with the solid red fuel icon. So he is running a bit low on fuel. Actually, it looks like he's running a lot low on fuel. He's minus 1.5 laps under, according to his steering wheel. Blockman, a 3-second time penalty as he closes in on Rebellion. Looking around the outside here at turn 12. And yeah, the Alpine driver just waves a white flag, says, mate, go through. I'm not fighting you. Just go through. Let me deal with my own race. Thank you very much. To be honest, I don't blame him. Not even a little bit. Out of the final corner and down the main straightaway. Axis with DRS closing in on the provisional race leader of Nico. Underwood yet to pit. He's on 17 lap old hards. He'll be moving on to a set of mediums very shortly. Into turn 1. Axis right on the gearbox of Nico as Hash gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Out of turn 3. DRS open again for the Aston Martin driver, closing in bit by bit, but I don't think he's close enough to attack into turn 4. And lo and behold, he isn't. But he's keeping the pressure up. Blockman down the inside of Collider at turn 4. He moves himself into P5. JBH closing in on Saucy here down towards turn 4. Not by enough to attack the Red Bull driver, though, into the left-hander. So he'll stay behind, keep himself in P9. Saucy stays in P8. Underwood, meanwhile, still on those tyres. I wonder how soon he'll pit off the hard tyre onto a set of mediums. When will he pull the plug? I mean, he could stay out and gamble for a safety car coming out, which is entirely possible. We still have 18 cars in this race, and as we saw during qualifying, there are several areas here where you can lose control of the car. Down the straightaway, Captain Schmeg, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. It appears he's done that at the hairpin at turn 6. Axis closing in. He's got a lot of momentum. He's looking to the inside here at turn 1. He gets in front of Nico. Nico fights back though around the outside, which turns to the inside at turn 2. Great scrap between these two drivers, giving it everything but showing enough respect to not make contact. Nico, though, defending the inside line here at turn 4. Axis sending it around the long way, which will turn into the inside at turn 5. Nico, though, keeping the fight alive, looking around the long way, but he has to give in. Axis has taken second place away from Nico. Fantastic scrap between these two. Blacks under a bit of pressure from Blockman. He's on very old medium compound tyres, and now Underwood has 6 seconds worth of penalties. He's just got another 3. Through the S as we go. Onto this back straightaway towards turn 12. Blockman with DRS looking around the outside. And Blacks, similar to Rebellion, just got the white flag out, gave up the position, just let the overtake happen. Very smart driving. Through the final sector, heading back onto the main straightaway. Blacks, he'll get DRS, so he'll keep a gap to Collider, at least for a little while. So they head down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Into the right-hander. Collider not close enough. Try and battle just yet. JBH is close. Oh, darted to the right there. Thought about a move. Yellows. It is Liquito spinning at the exit of turn 9. He'll get going. But he's got a damaged front wing. A missing end plate on the left-hand side. Axis, meanwhile, has hung on to second place. Nico trying to hang within that 1 second range. He needs to stay within it. Oh, looking... using all the racetrack there, Nico. Gee whiz. He was looking for every inch of racetrack at the exit of turn 11. Good stuff. Pushing to the limit. Fantastic. Collider closing in bit by bit. Blacks is going to be vulnerable here. Oh! In fact, he's going to get him at the penultimate corner. Collider's into 5th. Into the pits goes both Collider and Blacks. They're beginning off their tyres. Yellows are out. Is that Underwood? No, it's not. It's Hash. Spinning. And rejoins. Here comes Rafixer. The ghosting's turned off, so Rafixer needs to be mindful. Getting out of the S section unscathed. Yeah, simple spin. Through the S's. No obvious damage on the Ferrari either. Through the beginning of the middle sector, Axis, he's keeping a solid margin of 8/10 to Nico. Nico, he's not having the best of times trying to keep up with the Aston. He's doing a lot of hard work. Heading down this back straightaway towards turn 12. Hello, Alpha. Nice to see you in the chat. And I agree, having 2 sets of mediums will now make interesting strategies in F1 22. I agree. Especially around a racetrack like Mexico, where traditionally it has been a 2-stop race. Yellows are out. It's an Alpine. It's Collider. He's recently moved on to a new set of medium. We have a safety car. We have a safety car. A full front wing is missing on Collider's car, so he's hit the wall pretty hard. And from the debris created from that incident, we have a safety car. Oh my goodness. This is a perfect window to put on the medium compound tyre if you have a fresh set and go to the end of the race. This will help Blockman out tremendously. He was attempting a 2-stop, and he'll put on a set of mediums. He should have an extra set of mediums next to his name. What about everyone else? And this has benefited Underwood as well. He has maintained the lead for this long, doing a really lengthy stint on the hard tyre. He'll now make his one necessary pit stop and move on to a set of mediums. The only frustrating thing he has to deal with is penalties. He has 6 seconds, and you can see a lot of drivers with penalties out there. So surely the leaders will pit. Saucy gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He and JBH are giving each other a bit of a hard time over the course of this race. And Saucy's just given himself a time penalty. Probably not put him in a great mood. Underwood's definitely coming in. But what about these two? Coming in, coming in. Ooh, Nico got very close to the back there. Blockman's coming in, that makes sense. Saucy? What do you do? You coming in, bud? No. JBH stays out. Wombat stays out. Shizzen gets a drive-through penalty for speeding during this safety car period. Ouch. So the leaders have boxed for fresh tyres. Blockman made sense. He had to do it. Underwood made sense as well. Axis and Nico, they're doing it because they want those fresh tyres and they want to send it towards the end. The top three now is Saucy, JBH and Mighty Wombat. They want track position rather than better tyres. An interesting call. What it means though is that Wombat is in the best position out of anybody when it comes to track position and in terms of penalties. He's got no penalties next to his name. See here, Saucy, JBH, they both have 3 seconds. Underwood has 6, and he's the first car on medium compound tyres. Axis and Nico, who have been our leading duo throughout this event, neither of them have penalties, but they're down in P5 and P6. They've got a fair bit of work to do to get to the front. I agree, Alpin. The pace advantage on the medium tyre is a lot. That's what I heard from a fair few drivers from this past week here at Mexico, is that the hard tyre, it can be a bit painful to try and get it up to speed. The medium tyre is definitely the best race tyre here at Mexico. It'd be fascinating to see how all of these medium runners fare towards the end. And how hard are they going to push? Fascinating as well that that is still in the game where a car can fly off the racetrack, destroy their front wing, and their debris is way off in the distance. Yet, we get a full course safety car. Not a virtual safety car, a proper full-on safety car. Really does reaffirm the idea it's all RNG. It has to be RNG. When it comes to safety cars, there's an incident on the racetrack, the game picks out a number, and whatever number it is determines what kind of response race control gives, the game's race control gives. Whether it's just yellows in that sector, whether it's a virtual safety car, whether it's a full-on safety car, or whether it's nothing altogether. So yeah, the only thing consistent about this game's method of determining what kind of safety measures need to be taken after an incident, the only thing that's consistent is its inconsistency. A bit like NASCAR, to be honest. But from this safety car, we're more than likely going to get an entertaining finish. So I can't complain. Some of the drivers probably will, though. Some of them were in really strong positions. Now, a bit compromised thanks to this safety car coming out. And could be even more compromised after the restart. Who knows? Say with confidence, though, those who are definitely going to hurt are those who have time penalties already. With the field bunching up like this, time penalties play a bigger effect on the finishing results. The more laps we spend behind the safety car, the bigger the effect. And looks like we're going to be doing one more lap. And at the end of this, we'll go back under green flag racing. So, run through the order just quickly. Saucy is our race leader. He's on the hard compound tyre, 8-lap-old hard, so they're still relatively fresh. JBH is behind him in P2. Mighty Wombat is now in third, which didn't look possible after his incident at turn 16, but he's recovered well. Underwood P4, first driver on the mediums, but with 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Axis is P5 with Nico and P6. These two have been dominating this race, and now they're stuck. P5 and P6 in the middle of this very intense pack of drivers. They need to get through this sort of tight period after the restart and try and make the most of their better tyres towards the end of the race. Blockman, he was on the two-stop strategy to begin with, so he needed this safety car. He's P7. He's looked aggressive all race. Rebellion P8 with Guitar Hero on very old tyres. 11-lap-old mediums in 9th. He might be a bit of a sitting duck. Blackson P10, Shizant 11th. Hash and P12 on hards. Safety cars in this lap. Collider is 13th. Captain Schmeg is 14th. The Fixer 15th. Black Ball is 16th. They're all on mediums. Motion God has decided to go for softs. I mean, why not? You're P17. Might as well try something. And Liquito at the back in 18th place on mediums. It's up to Saucy now. Try and make his way through. And Shizant as well has a drive-through penalty, which he must serve. Yellows are out already. The driver's checking up so much. Around the final corner. And away we go once again. It's lap 26 of 36. We're back on the green flag racing here in Mexico City. And JBH is on the attack. He draws alongside. He tries to get a nose in front. He does have a nose in front. Into turn one we go. Dives it in deep. And he takes the lead away from Saucy with Mighty Wombat right behind. Exiting turn 3, down the straightaway towards turn 4. Wombat's got a nice run. He's dumping his battery, sitting in the slipstream, but he's not close enough to attack here, I think, into turn 4. No, he's definitely not close enough. Underwood right behind on fresh mediums. He's going to have a ton of pace, but he's got nowhere to go at the moment. He is stuck behind the McLaren. Exiting turn 6 now, down towards the S as we go. Captain Schmeger's left the session again. Hopefully he can rejoin as soon as possible, down in 14th position at the moment with 12 seconds worth of penalties. Through turn 10, through turn 11, Wombat's got to run, but he's got nowhere to go heading into turn 12 unless there's a big old send here. Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it at 12. Maybe here at 13 though, he's got to run. Looking around the outside. Underwood's right there as well, side by side through turn 14. He gets through. A fine manoeuvre. Underwood tries to go down the inside as well. Almost making contact as they head around the final corner and onto the main straightaway. Underwood's got to run in the Ferrari. Can he close in on Mighty Wombat? Doesn't quite look like it at this stage. Saucy fights back though. It might be 3 wide in a few moments time. Here we go, down towards the opening right-hander. Underwood has the inside. Wombat's in front. Saucy trying to fight through the middle. And it seems like Wombat's going to win this battle. He keeps second place. But out in front, critically in all of this, is JBH. And he's got 2.9 seconds over Wombat. Thanks to all that battling. He is driving. Big send from Blockman down the inside of Underwood there at turn 4. Around turn 5. Contact between Nico and Blockman. Nico down the order now, down in P7. His main rival Axis is up into 4. Contact again, this time at turn 6. Nico lost control, gathered it up brilliantly though, and keeps his 7th position. Through the S's we go, around turns 10 and 11. Axis is close, he's on the back of Saucy, dumping his battery towards turn 12. Yellows are out, it's a Ferrari, it's Hatch, spinning at turn 7, and we have a safety car. Oh, that brilliance from JBH, ruined, completely ruined, thanks to this safety car. So Hash must have destroyed his front wing. Yes, look, a missing wing once again has caused a safety car. There we go. Oh my goodness me. A second safety car. A second one. This is going to have a humongous effect on the final results here. We got drivers pitting in. And hey, why not? Pit on to softs, they can make it. If you got a fresh set and you're towards the back, screw it. Go for it. Try something. Might as well try something. Yeah, Shizm won't be able to serve these drive-through here. It's yellows, mate. Can't serve it. He'll just get serviced and away he will leave. Yep. Putting on another set of softs. Wow. What an ending we're going to have here at Mexico. Penalties are going to play an enormous factor now. We're going to spend at least a couple of laps behind the safety car. We have to wait for Shizant to catch up to the tail of the field. It will take some time for him to catch up. So we will more than likely get back on the green flag racing at probably lap 30, I would think. Maybe 31 if it takes too long. But those time penalties you can see on the totem pole on the left, on the leaderboard, they're going to play a massive effect on who finishes where in this race. You can see plenty of drivers have time penalties. Few drivers don't have penalties at all. Those who don't, Wombat, Axis, Nico, Collider, and Motion God. That is it. You've got 5 drivers out of 18 who do not have a time penalty or a penalty period. Shizant here has to serve a drive-through, so his race is essentially over unless he gets a miracle and a third safety car. That doesn't help things. He now has another time penalty next to his name. Holy moly. Yeah, JBH put himself in a superb position. Got himself in front, drove sensibly, and allowed everyone else behind to just scrap about for position. And as a result, he just drove away. If it weren't for this safety car coming out, it would almost be a guaranteed podium, maybe even a win for JBH. He was that far out in front, and as you mentioned, Alpoom, he did have backstreet to spend. Now this changes. This changes completely. Oh. Wow. Wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. What kind of ending are we going to have here in Mexico? Fact as well, we still have 18 cars running. We've had 2 safety cars, 1 retirement, and it was a voluntary retirement. Don't you dare go late into the pits. Don't. Oh, you wretched game. Oh my goodness. Shizant just caught up to the tail of the train. It's given JBH no time whatsoever to control the field. This has been a problem since 2019. It's absolutely ridiculous. We're back under green flag racing at the beginning of lap 30. The whole field's bunched up. How much drama are we going to see here? Look at them, diving left and right, trying to find a bit of racetrack to race on. They're on cold tyres as well. They need to be careful. Into turn 1. Underwood looking down the inside of Axis here. Can't quite get it done, but he has made a move on Blockman. He's got himself into P5. Blockman down to 6. Can't fight back either. Black's battling Nico. He's got it in front of Nico. Nico's down to 8. Oh my goodness me, this safety car period has absolutely ruined Nico's race. Around turn 4 we go. Nico, Rebellion, contact, spinning. Oh, great catch, Rebellion. That was fantastic. He caught his Alpine there at the apex of turn 5. Only lost a few positions to Nico and Collider. Into the S as we go. Through turn 7, into turn 8. A bit wide there from Nico, costing him precious time. He needs to get a move on. He cannot muck around. None of these guys are certainly mucking around. Axis close, very close in fact. Looks to the inside but cannot commit to the move. Yellows are out again. It's Laquito spinning. No damage from the Haas that I can see. So no safety car. No safety car. Around the final corner and onto the main straightaway. JBH is our race leader. 6-10 separate him and Mighty Wombat, who's now in prime position to win this race. Only one driver, I believe, only one driver can really challenge him for the race win. And that's Axis in P4. That's it. Axis needs to get by Saucy and then drive like hell to try and catch up to Wombat. Needs to make full use of those fresher tyres, those fresh medium tyres. But at the moment, he is stuck behind the Red Bull. Around turn 6, doesn't Ricardo it down the inside. He stays behind, but he's got to run. My word, has he got to run. He's driven by him like it was nothing. Fantastic bit of driving at the exit of turn 6, showing the supreme track. Nico spun. Nico, the man who is second in the championship, has spun down to 16th position. He is outside of the points. This is huge for Mighty Wombat as Axis closes in now on the McLaren driver. Oh, something's happened to Blockman. He has spun. He's tumbled down the order. He's down to P10 as DRS is now enabled on lap 32 of 36 here in Mexico. We've got 5 laps to go. Axis top speed says 196. 201 from Mighty Wombat. The McLaren has got some serious straight line speed as they head into turn 2, around turn 3. Wombat needs to put a car between himself and Axis as soon as possible, because in a straight dogfight, Axis has got the advantage on fresher, softer compound tyres. Oh, Saucy, Underwood, side by side through turn 6, heading up towards the hairpin of turn 7. Underwood goes in deep down the inside. Saucy fights around the long way. But Underwood, he's able to get in front and take the position. Nice driving there from both parties. Through the S as we go. Through turn 10, around turn 11, and onto the back straightaway. Wombat's got to run. Trying to look around the outside. He's able to hang on to P1 for now as they head around the hairpin of turn 13. Blockman gets a penalty. He now has 12 seconds. Captain Schmeger's tumbled down through the order. He's down to P15 now. Nico's down in 17th place. He must have made a pit stop when I wasn't looking. Guitar Hero's overtaken Blockman. He's into the top 10 as we head down the main straightaway towards turn 1. JBH moves to the inside, trying to cover off the McLaren. Axis behind as well. Yellows are out. I believe it's Laquito having a moment as Saucy and Blacks battle for position at turn 1. Oh, contact between the two cars. Blacks turns into a lawnmower periodically and moves himself down to P8. Rebellion has taken P7 thanks to the contact. Collider's up into P6. Collider into 6. Where has he come from? He's kept out of trouble and he's got no time penalties as well. It could be a top 4 finish for the Alpine driver. Another solid result. As they head down towards the S's once again. Wombat is not close enough to challenge the Mercedes. Axis is close, but through this section you cannot battle for position. It's just impossible. As they head up into the final sector, Refixer has had a moment. He spun. I think Blockman's involved. Yes, he is. We have a safety car. Are you kidding me? With 3 and a bit laps to go, we have a third safety car. Oh my word. The race has taken another turn. Oh my goodness. The incident between, I believe, Refixer and Blockman has created the third safety car of the race with 3 laps to go. Oh my word, what is this ending? So that means as well, with the laps remaining, there'll be no DRS. If you want to pass the guy in front of you, you've got to do it the old-fashioned way. How about this? What a fascinating end to this race. All the drama you could possibly expect. Penalties. They are going to be the determining factor in all of this now. The determining factor. Laps remaining mean next to nothing. You cannot build big gaps with the laps remaining. You just can't. Safety car's in. Strap yourself in, folks. We're going to have a 2-lap dash to the checkered flag. Oh no. What are we going to see? JBH needs to do this restart pretty bloody spot on. He cannot afford to lose any time to those behind. Nico gets a time penalty. He now has 3 seconds. And around the final corner and back onto the main straightaway. Oh, Wombat! Wombat has spun! Wombat has spun at the final corner on the restart. He's thrown away a race win. He's thrown it away with 2 to go. Hash has overtaken Black Bowler. That means the new race leader, provisionally speaking, is Axis in the Aston Martin. Unbelievable. Rebellion attacking Black spinning. Contact between him and Guitar Hero as well. Guitar Hero with a damaged car, a destroyed front wing. Oh my goodness me. Sector 1 yellow flags. That's Rafixer having a moment at the exit of turn 3. So now Axis, all he has to do is get to the checkered flag and he'll claim the top step here in what has been a dramatic Grand Prix, to say the least. Out to turn 11 and into the final sector. 3.5 tenths separate the top 2. He doesn't have to do anything, Axis. All he has to do is stay behind. He doesn't have to battle. He doesn't have to do a thing. Just drive. Just do one clean 2.6 mile lap. And you've got it. Out to the final corner and onto the main straightaway. It's the final lap. Lap 36 of 36 of this Mexican Grand Prix. Collider's in with a shout for a podium now. Oh my goodness. Potentially third, I think, from where he sits right now. I think he can get third. Captain Schmeg gets fastest lap. Collider, a similar story. He doesn't have to attack the car in front. He just needs to stay behind, keep it nice and tidy, and not get a warning. You cannot afford to get a penalty. Underwood runs wide there at turn 4. If Axis manages to get a time penalty, Underwood's now got 9 seconds next to his name, demonstrating it is possible to get a penalty on the last lap. Through the S's. Can he keep it within the white? He is running close. Oh, so close to the white lines. Through turn 10. Through turn 11 for the final time. Up towards 12. Sector 2 yellows. It's Blockman spinning again. This time at turn 9. Through the stadium section for the final time. Only a few. Contact between Axis and Underwood there. Oh my goodness me. They get through the final 2 corners unscathed. JBH will cross the line in first, but it'll be Axis who takes the win here in Mexico. JBH finishes in second. Collider will finish on the podium in third. Saucy fourth, Rebellion fifth, Underwood in sixth, followed by Black Baller, Hash, Motion God, and Mighty Wombat spinning on the penultimate lap, throwing away his chance of a win and his chance to extend his lead in the championship by a significant margin. My goodness. Oh. What was that? Honestly. Beginning of the race, it was filled with strategy and a whole heap of unknown. First safety car came out and the whole race turned upside down. And the man who stood on the top step for today's race is Axis for Aston Martin. P2 to JBH, and P3 went to the Invisible Man just briefly. Poor Collider's face didn't actually pop up on my screen, but now he's definitely there. What a fascinating race. So, the unofficial results of the Mexican Grand Prix. Axis is your race winner, with JBH finishing in a fine second, Collider completing the podium places in third. Saucy finishes in fourth, followed by Rebellion in fifth, Underwood in sixth, then Black Baller, Hash in eighth, Motion God ninth, and Mighty Wombat rounds out the top 10. Brilliant recovery, got himself in a great position to win, and then threw it away with 2 to go. Shizant 11th, followed by Black. Nico 13th, a poor result for him. Guitar Hero 14th, then Refixer, Blockman, Captain Schmeg. Liquito classified a lap down. And our only retirement was Flappiest. We had 3 safety cars, 1 retirement, and it was a voluntary retirement as well. Oh. Oh, what was that? What was all of that? What was this race? We had a tie for pole position. The top 2 at the end of qualifying set the exact same lap time to the 1,000th of a second. To the 1,000th. And then throughout that race, it was a 2-car fight between Axis and Nico. It looked like it was going to be a battle between them for who would win this race. And then the safety car came out and it changed everything. We had drivers that took track position rather than fresh tyres. We had drivers who took fresh tyres. Mainly, the leaders, Axis and Nico, went for fresh tyres. And one of them got really shafted by that. Nico got poor restarts and he tumbled down through the order, and he eventually had a spin through the S section, which took him out of the running and ultimately out of the points. But thankfully for him, we had more safety cars, which brought him back into the running. And then it looked like it was going to be a battle between Axis and Wombat, and then Wombat spun on the penultimate lap, taking himself out of the running. If I was in his shoes, I'd be furious with myself. I'd be so furious, and probably a bit furious at the game. Bringing out a safety car that late, literally with 3 and a sector laps to go. Brought out a safety car, and we had a 2-lap dash to the checkered flag. Somebody had to win. And that was Axis. No penalty next to his name, and he ended up winning. Didn't cross the line in first though. That was JBH. 3-second time penalty next to his name, which he could get removed. If I remember earlier in the race, on the first lap I believe it was, there was an incident between him and Blockman which forced him off the track. And I think he got a warning from that. So, if you could put together a successful report, he might take the win. I'm not certain. But as it stands right now, the top 3 at the end of this race is Axis, JBH, and Collider out of nowhere. So, Jesus. That was a race. But I think after all of that, it's time to wrap up the stream. And what an interesting one it has been, demonstrating the incredible quality of racing we've always seemed to have in the America Series. But yes, time to wrap everything up. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 11 of the championship at Circuit Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.